Hello and welcome to another video. I am Stephanie and have been a professional artist for a decade. Now in today's video you are going to see me paint Bittersweet, a watercolor painting that I made for an art competition, and I will talk about failure. Now, like most artists, I usually share my successes, but I've seen a lot of artists recently share about their failures. So I decided this painting specifically would be perfect for that, because this painting that you see me paint just right now actually failed. Now, Bittersweet was specifically made, as I said, for a watercolor competition, but it was rejected and didn't even make it into the competition. So it was rejected before getting judged. That's pretty awful. Usually when you enter competitions, you pay a small and, well, sometimes large fee, and then selected judges will see your artwork and pick finalists in a first time and then a winner in a second time. Now, my artwork never made it to the judging, so the judges never saw my artwork. It was deemed not good enough to show to the judges and not good enough to be showcased on their website among all the other entries. I suppose that's something that is normal. I've never had that happen to me before, to be honest. I partook in a lot of art competitions over the years, of course, but usually I just didn't make the cut to the finalist and that was it. But I've never had an artwork just be rejected completely from the competition, so I don't know how usual that is, or if they just had so many entries that I had to make a pre-cut before showing to the judges. I don't know. Now, in hindsight, honestly, this competition was of a very high level and standard and very focused on realism and actually hyperrealism with a very high technical level, and I was just not good enough, which is fine. I also know it's a terrible idea to make a painting for an art competition, and that's exactly what I did for this. Usually it's more the other way around, you pick the best artwork you've done over the last month or year for a specific competition, and also it's best to pick a competition that is going to suit your style and not the other way around. So I did everything wrong in that domain, and I don't know, I took it more as a technical exercise, and yeah, I failed. There's no way around it. It's like this. It did really hurt. I felt terrible about my work. I felt really defeated. I think I almost, or maybe I cried a bit, especially because painting is something that I enjoy, but that I feel very self-conscious about, since everyone keeps reminding me that they prefer my sculptures and that my sculptures are so much better than my paintings. And I'm like, yes, that's great, but I just enjoy painting, so please let me paint. Failure and rejection is also good for your ego and keeps it in check. A slap in the face is alright, you just need to use those really negative emotions to keep working at your craft. And honestly, even if pragmatically your chance of success at an art competition is pretty low, it's still totally worth it, as long as you can afford it, of course, as your artwork will get seen by the right crowd that can help your career. Now, the next point of common rejections are art residency. Now, I mentioned before that I was going to be in South Korea next March for an art residency, and it's even an awarded one, so I don't have to pay rent, I just have travel costs, which is extra rare, and I'm so happy about it, especially because it's going to be a residency that is going to be research focused. So it's basically, I get the time to do whatever I want, and it's going to be painting, by the way. I'm really happy about that. But the truth of the matter is that it's the very first time I got accepted in a residency. Just before COVID, I applied to probably, 10, 20 different residencies, and I got rejected by all of them. It was so frustrating that I decided to create my own residency in London by finding a shared studio and a shared flat on Airbnb, and honestly it was great. If you get rejected by art residencies but you really want to experience a different city or different surroundings or just meet new people and things like that, you can create your own residency. You don't have to go through an organized one. It might even be easier. Art residencies in general are actually quite difficult to get into because just a lot of people want an art residency. It's extra hard if you're getting paid for the residency. Usually you have to propose a specific project and they're going to approve, and then if there's money involved, then obviously so many others are going to try and get it that, you know, competition is going to be tighter. And yeah, that's just, it's part of the deal. It's part of the plan. It's part of how it works. Every time you are going to want something, and if it's paid or if it's financially interesting or if it gives you a lot in return, then obviously you're not going to be the only one who's going to apply, and it's going to be more difficult. Now, a next thing I want to touch about, which is a bit different from failure and rejection, is just about mistakes when you work, mistakes and errors and unsuccessful artworks, basically. I say this very often on my channel, but to succeed in artwork, you will have to risk certain things and fight with it at some point. It's not always a question of making a mistake, but just taking chances, trying something a bit different, or simply because creating with your hands is generally very different from whatever idea is sprouting in your mind. Now, I personally rarely am not able to save a sculpture nowadays, but it's also because of the materiality of it. For one, I can always remove or add shapes with clay, I can cut, I can add things, so that's pretty easy. I can also repaint everything if I don't like the color combination, because I use acrylic paint, so it's easy to cover up certain colors, which is to change things completely. On the other side, watercolor paintings can be harder to save, especially if you're a purist about it. It's not impossible if you are not a purist. I know I have saved paintings using colored pencils and acrylic gouache, and honestly, I think those are my favorites. And in a way, I think it also ties down with the fighting with your artwork. At least for me, the more I fight, the happier I am with the end result, because I really pushed my own boundaries and the boundaries of said artwork to make it work. And then I'm extra happy when I manage, and it's just better than when something goes smoothly. Because when your artwork goes smoothly, it's usually because you do the same thing that you're used to do. So yeah, it works, but it's not as satisfying as saving an artwork. And sometimes artworks just cannot be saved, and you know, that's okay too. Failing is alright. Crying over your rejections is cathartic. Your ego getting punched once in a while is healthy. The key is to feel all of these negative emotions and then take a few steps back and objectively assess, is it a question of improvement? Can your work just become better? Or is it just a numbers game? Or is it just personal preference? Everything is fine. Most importantly is to keep at it, keep working on your artwork, still stay critical about your own artwork. The moment you think you're amazing, you're dead as an artist. And yeah, remember, your artwork has value even if it's just for yourself. And that concludes today's video. I really hope this was helpful in some ways and interesting. I hope you enjoyed seeing me painting the completely failed painting, even though I think it's not too bad in the end. Let me know in the comments if you had to deal with rejections before. Leave a little painter's palette emoji if you watched until the end. It always encourages me a lot. And I just wanted to say, in last video I didn't mention it, but you all did that, and honestly I was really touched because I sort of forgot to write about it in the end of my video, but most of you actually left an emoji, and yeah, I was so happy to see that. So yeah, thank you so much for that. And yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye!